Hey, and welcome to a new Shadow Sister Healing video. This is a Friday love reading, pick a pile reading, where I will have 3 piles and I introduce you immediately the choices. So you make your choice based on this Joker card, this pile number 1, and Solar Plexus Chakra, Yellow Aventurine. Pile number 2 is also a little bit orange colors, Sacral Chakra, Carnelian, and 3 of Hearts, so 3 of Cups. And pile number 3 is Throat Chakra, Lapis Lazuli, and King of Hearts, and King of Cups. So these are your choices. Today, as the past 2 Fridays, I have read stories from Grimm fairy tales, and all those piles have a Grimm fairy tale and tried to interpret it interestingly for you this Friday. And then we will have also Halloween deck. There is a wild card based on the crystal, and what else I can say, there are some feeling cards and some love messages. So let's see how long it takes, but this is your reading for Friday now, honoring the Frigg, the goddess of love, and I'm trying to channel that for you. So let's get started. I'm gonna take the pile number 1 here. So we'll put this Joker card here. Let me show it still closer. This is your card you chose. And we have here this. Let's see which fairy tale we have. So we have Fred and Kate. Have you ever heard this fairy tale? I had to actually look this before because I have to be able to tell this fast. And this is a little bit crazy story, I have to say. Let's see how it plays to your relationship. So the meaning of this pick a pile reading is that you're supposed to be picking the pile that calls to you. And if you pick this pile, there should be some message for you. So Fred and Kate is really like the wife has some misunderstanding all the time. So they're really like the communication goes totally bad, or the wife always do something weird. So this story is, let's hear about it. So maybe this Joker is also to show it, like if you have this kind of relationship, you never know what's happening. Your partner is like, it can happen some weird things, a little bit foolish things too. So Fred and Kate. Here were once a young husband and wife, and their names were Fred and Kate. Okay, emphasis on young, because what's coming next really sounds like not very mature people. One day, said Fred, I must go now to my work in the fields, Kate, and when I come back, you must have on the table some roast meat to satisfy my hunger, and some good drink to quench my thirst. All right, Fred, answered Kate, be off with you, I will see to it. Yes, if you're vegetarian, or what else? Yeah, you might not like this story. Anyway, when dinner time began to draw near, she took down a sausage from the chimney, put it in the frying pan with some butter, and stood it over the fire. The sausage began to frizzle and fry, and Kate stood holding the handle of the pan and fell into deep thought. At last she said to herself, while the sausage is cooking, I might as well be drawing the beer in the cellar. So she saw that the frying pan was standing firmly, and then took a can and went down into the cellar to draw the beer. Now, while Kate was watching the beer run into the can, a sudden thought came into her mind. Halloa, The dog is not fastened up. He may perhaps get at the sausage. And in a trice she was up the cellar steps, but already the dog had it in his mouth and was making off with it. Then Kate, with all haste, followed after him and chased him a good way into the fields. But the dog was quicker than Kate, and never letting slip the sausage, was soon at great distance. Well, it can't be helped, said Kate, turning back. And as she had tired herself with running, she took her time about going home and walked slowly to cool herself. All this time the beer was running out of the cask, for Kate had not turned off the tap. And as the can was soon full, it began to run over on the cellar floor, and ran until the cask was empty. Kate stood on the steps and saw the misfortune. Dear me, cried she, what I'm to do to prevent Fred from noticing it. She considered for a while and then remembered that there was remaining in the loft from the last fair time a sack of fine wheat flour. She determined to bring it down and threw over the beer. To be sure, she said, those who knows how to save have somewhat in time of necessity. And going up to the loft, she dragged the sack down and threw it right upon the can full of beer, so that Fred's drink ran upon the cellar with the rest. It is all right, said Kate. Where some goes, the rest must follow. And she stewed the meal all over the cellar. When all was done, she was highly pleased and thought how clean and neat it looked. At dinner time home came Fred. Now, wife, what have you got for me? Said he. Oh, Fred, answered she, I was going to cook a sausage for you, but while I was drawing the beer, the dog got it out of the pan. And while I was running after the dog, the beer all ran away. And as I was going to stop up the beer with the wheat meal, I knocked over the can. But it's all right now. The cellar is quite dry now. But said Fred, oh, Kate, what have you been about? Letting the sausage be carried off, and the beer run out of the cask, and then the waste all our good meal into the bargain. Well, Fred, I didn't know. You should have told me, said Kate. So practically, this thing will go on every time Kate does something wrong. She always do. There is so many things now in this story that she will do the weirdest thing. And every time she's confronted, she's like, oh, I didn't know. You should have told me. So she's not like taking responsibility of any of it. And the Fred is noticing things, but still it's almost like the more you invest, the more you are like just hanging on to it. So things just go more wrong and wrong. For example, again, this misfortune happened. Oh, wife, cried it, what have you done? They were not counters, but pure gold, and all our capital. You should not have done so. Well, Fred, I did not know. You should have told me that before, answered Kate. So she was kind of letting some thieves rob the gold, and then they went to chase the thieves, and then really weird thing happened there, and it's an endless story how she is always doing something weird. So eventually she is like getting completely out of her mind, and then starting to steal some turnips from the people's fields. And, you know, like end of the picture is this, the people think that she is devil herself. But maybe the whole story is about showing like what happens when somebody is completely unconscious about what they are doing. Like this Kate is not taking any responsibility, it's almost like in sleep, just doing like weird stuff. In the end, she's like, oh parson, some evil creature is trapping in your turnip field. Oh dear, answered the parson, I have a lame foot, I cannot go to drive it away. Okay, anyway, the people are not always wanting to go to confront things. Just as they reached the field, Kate got up and stood upright. "Oh, the devil," cried the parson, and both took to their heels, and the parson was able, out of his great fear, to run faster with his lame foot than the man who had carried him on his back with both legs sound. Yeah, there is a lot of this kind of like, even the Kate in the story is trying to get easy way. And eventually she's also getting completely like a kind of devilish, like she's going to steal neighbors' turnips because she's like not knowing who she is anymore. So it is really going to this devil territory. Anyway, let's see how this kind of madness of making poor choices is playing in your love life. Fred and Kate. This is hero stories anyway. The husband in this story was kind of servant to the Kate because, I mean, he was doing all the time work. Of course, he was also talking a little bit this kind of macho way, like, "Oh, wife, cook for me and do this, and I'm just going to work." There was this kind of clear roles, also very old-fashioned roles. Let's see now what is your oracle card. This was coming, this deck based on the crystal. This is the end. Okay, the horse and bluebell. Modest fortitude. So this is very beautiful. I like it because it's very Belgian related. Belgium has these bluebells. Spring. Maybe spring has something meaningful in your relationship. Then I'm gonna take you this. Wait. I'm going to take you now a feeling card from your person. The person is thinking about you. Levels of consciousness. Interesting that this Kate was completely out of consciousness. So here we have levels of consciousness, levels of clarity, understanding consciously, intensity in love. The source is simple and single, but its gifts are infinite. You are the source. Let's see. Levels of consciousness you remember in a relationship. Okay, clearly Fred and Kate had issues with that. It's a learning process, learning curve. I take another feeling card still to your relationship. Betrayal. Okay, in this fairy tale also you can feel betrayal. Also, the other person is completely like not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But here is sacrifice, truth, stabbing the back, guilt, cheating, lying, hurt, pain, lies, abuse, manipulation, blinded, mislead, egoistic pleasures. Maybe you should know when to stop. If the relationship is going like this Fred and Kate, that the woman is just not ever taking responsibility, or the other person is not taking responsibility, and is just doing fishy things, it's time to put stop to it. But the level of consciousness also, like, things should be able to talk in the relationship, like what's normal and what's not, what's like acceptable, what are the boundaries that you should never break. Then I'm gonna take you this. I already made for horoscope readings the shadow love, and here I'm also gonna make for this file number 1 a shadow love reading. So let's see what is this showing, what kind of shadow is in this love. This love story. This is one of my own spreads. And it's way to face the love shadow that doesn't let you be totally happy in a relationship. So the shadow of love is justice. Okay, so the truth has been sacrificed. Like somebody is not truthful because this is following your own path. Okay, this Kate was going the old path, but completely unconscious and doing weird stuff, not thinking the other person's best interest, just in the moment being lazy or doing something weird. I didn't even read the whole story because it's so kind of triggering even to read the text like that. Like she's like saying to the robbers where the gold is, and she's just all the time doing poor choices. Like even when they are chasing the robbers, she's like having some food and she's slowly wasting it. Yeah, in this story, many things is wasted. Food, property, but anything can be wasted is wasted. But justice is the shadow. There is just not like Venus would be this is the Libra card. Venus is the planet for Libra, and beauty and balance is in the key here. But now things are not beautiful, things are ugly, things are not balanced. This all is kind of opposite. You're not able to follow your own path, you're kind of stuck in some wrong path. Anyway, things should be righted. This is the shadow. Justice is needed. Interestingly, there is horse here and a horse here. I didn't even notice. But there's 2 times horse. We're gonna read about this horse. This even the Joker is on the horse. Positive side of this shadow anyway is Queen of Imps, Queen of Wands. Okay, so with the black cat, this powerful queen. So there is a lot of passion and fire and positive energy. Maybe this injustice is forcing the person to, it's Leo energy anyway, this positive. But the sunflower queen here is like forcing the person to get in their power, to sit in their throne and like show who they really are, kind of like a witch, to have justice. I still don't want anybody to do any spell work or like curse people, but like it's close, like the person is kind of pissed off and is getting into their power, into the throne. Getting in this lion energy, like justice. Then outcome when you have this shadow. Queen of 2 queens already, okay. So Queen of Bats is Queen of Swords. This is very justice related card too. Okay, I'm gonna show it separately. So Queen of Bats, Queen of Swords. Cut the crap. Just justice and truthfulness and right choices and wise leader and nurturing the truth, healing truth. That's is the outcome. When there has been problem with justice, then the woman has to rise to show the standards, show the values, or if it is a male, but this kind of female way to do about it, to set healthy boundaries, to really use the healing truth. So this kind of 2 women has rise in their power because of this shadow. It could be even a mother and a daughter. They have got like a connection, how to do the things in the kingdom. The king is not able or something like that. The father is like this joker. The woman has to lead. Yeah, something like the father is like a joker, or like a man is like a joker. In the story, the gate was the weird, stupid one, but mid roles can be reversed. Anyway, now I'm going to read you the horse. It's, let's see, pause because I have to find the page. Yeah, sometimes it takes a long time for me to find the page. Now I found it. Anyway, I'm going to show you this. This is the oracle card for you, for your love life. So the horse and blue bell. Modest fortitude. Its downcast blooms cause the bluebell to bow gently at its stem, symbolizing modesty. In contrast, the horse is a striking creature, proud and muscular, able to bear great loads of travel long distances. It knows for its superior strength and stamina. Taken together, the horse and bluebell remind us that the greatest feats are the result of much humble practice. Yeah, like not, doing things in a modest way and like in humble practice. Work quietly and consistently. The time to shine will present itself in the future. For now, focus on your process rather than its reward. And am I focused on earning praise and not focused enough on the substance of my work? Yeah, I think even the gate in this story was like kind of finding a fast solution always. The substance of the work is important, like what is actually the content of the relationship? What is actually the thing that is happening? The acts of love, all this substance, like it's not like faking. We have here hero story. So there is the servant archetype. If you cannot be hero, so I mean horse can also become like kind of like a workhorse, can be very strong. Belgian workhorses are really strong actually, but the horse can be also this triumphant hero horse running to the victory. So just this modesty is here. Okay, there is this queens, two queens. Autumn and winter. The justice is going to happen now in autumn and winter period in your relationship. At least this woman is making sure there is justice, or the female figure or that feminine part wants things to there could be even a mother involved. But mother and daughter, two queens here, or winter and autumn, harvest season, and then the cold, sharp winter. Pain usually make you see more clear. And yeah, you have to, there is this knife also in this heart. So clearly this queen has got hurt. But there has to be something done about that. Manipulation, blinded, mislead, egoistic pleasures. That was happening with Kate in that story. Egoistic pleasures. Anyway, there has to be justice. It's in the shadow. It has to be healed. Prudent outcome is really this strict boundaries, because nothing else can be working in this situation. But the advice would be modest fortitude. But also, at the same time, I advise this justice to happen. Anyway, we have here still the love card. The heart of the mother there is more going on than meets the eye. So I think what more is there, because there's this child sleeping, the more is protection of the innocent, protection of possible child in this relationship. That's why there has to be this leading woman, because they really want to take care of the family. They really want everything to be safe for the kids. So even the angels want the kids to be safe. So whatever nonsense has been happening with these betrayal things, it's time to rise the consciousness to understand that you can do better choices. You can treat other people better, or the other person can treat you better. Like there can be much more clarity. What's right thing to do. Okay, I end this reading here. I'm going to put a little pause to start the next. Welcome to your reading pile number 2. This is a card you have chosen. So look at that now closely. And let's get into it. You have the Sacral Chakra, Emperor and Empress energy, also creativity and sexuality. We're talking about relationship here and fairy tales. I have the green fairy tale. We will see it now. So you have the table, the ass, and the stick. Not very common fairy tales, but I have picked them randomly. 150. So now, if I even know what is the meaning of this, but I think I read from somewhere that it's about even creativity about this story. I'm gonna try to make it understandable. So which card I choose to show this one? So here was once a tailor who had 3 sons and 1 goat. And the goat, as she nourished them all with her milk, was obliged to have good food, and so she was led every day to the bed of willows by the waterside, and this business the sons did in turn. One day the eldest took the goat to the churchyard, where the best sprouts are, that she might eat her fill and gambol about. In the evening, when it was time to go home, he said, "Well, goat, have you had enough?" The goat answered, "I'm so full, I cannot pull another blade of grass. Wah, wah." "Then come home," said the youth, and fastened the string to her, led her to her stall, and fastened her up. "Now," said the old tailor, "has the goat had her proper food?" "Oh," answered the son, "she is so full, she no more can pull." But the father, wishing to see for himself, went out the stall, stroked his dear goat, and said, "My dear goat, are you full?" And the goat answered, "How can I be full? There was nothing to pull, though I looked all about me. Wah, wah." So this happens that these 3 sons, they all bring their goat to eat the different things. Always the goat answers, "Yes, I got my stomach full." And then when the tailor father is checking, double checking the goat, he's like, no, I am so starving. So eventually, always this happens is that the father kicks the sons out of the house. But then he brings himself the goat to the eat, and then he asks the same question, and the goat answers the same way, and then he realizes his mistake. When the tailor heard that, he marveled and saw at once that his 3 sons had been sent away without reason. "Wait a minute," cried he, "you ungrateful creature, it's not enough merely to drive you away. I will teach you to show your face again among honorable tailors." So in haste he went and fetched his razor, and seizing the goat, he shaved her head as smooth as the palm of his hand. And as the yard measure was too honorable a weapon, he took the whip and fetched her such a crack that with many a jump and spring she ran away. The tailor felt very sad as he sat alone in his house and would willingly have had his sons back again, but no one knew where they had gone. The eldest son, when he had driven from home, apprenticed himself to a joiner, and he applied himself diligently to his trade. And when the time came for him to travel, his master gave him a little table, nothing much to look at, and made of common wood, but it had one great quality. When anyone set it down and said, "Table, be covered," all at once the good little table had a clean cloth on it, and a plate, and a knife, and a fork, and dishes with roast and boil, and a large glass of red wine sparkling so as to cheer the heart. The young apprentice thought he was set up for life, and he went merrily out into the world, and never cared whether an inn were good or bad, or whether he could get anything to eat there or not. When he was hungry, it did not matter where he was, whether in the fields, in the woods, or in meadow, he set down his table and said, "Be covered," and there he was provided with everything that heart could wish. At last it occurred to him that he would go back to his father, whose wrath might by time have subsided, and perhaps because of the wonderful table he might receive him again gladly. It happened that one evening during his journey home, he came to an inn that was quite full of guests, who bade him welcome and asked him to sit down with them and eat, as otherwise he would have found some difficulty in getting anything. "No," answered the young joiner, "I could not think of depriving you. You had much better be my guests." They laughed and thought he must be joking, but he brought his little wooden table and put it in the middle of the room and said, "Table, covered." I just realized like there's also 3 hearts in this card. This is like friendships. Interesting that this story has these 3 elements: table, the ass, and the stick. So I'm reading now this Führer. Let's see how long this is. Can I read this all? It's quite long, but let's see. He laughed. So immediately the table was set with food much better than the landlord had been able to provide, and the good smell of it greeted the noses of the guests, very agreeable. Let's see then what happens next. Maybe I pause a little bit to see how can I do this faster. Yes, this fairy tale is very long. As I don't want to do my reading so long, I'm just wanting to, I made this little checkup like about meaning of the story. And it says, "The table, the ass, and the stick is fairy tale in which is described how we have to develop 3 skills to use our creative powers in a practical way. The skill to wish, the skill to give, and the skill to refuse." So what happens with this magic table is that this first boy is having it like in the inn, and the inn owner is changing the table to a fake table. Then he carries that to show to the father, and of course it's not magic anymore. So, but anyway, wishing something and then it came true. It's like intention is important in the creativity. Then we have this story of the other brother having the salary as an ass, like the donkey who spits gold. And then again, there is coming, of course, people are wanting to get that off them. Let's see. So I will give you, it works as apprentice and gives this as, I will give you an ass of a remarkable kind. He will draw no cart and carry no sack. What is the good of him then? Asked the young apprentice. He spits out gold, answered the miller. If you put a cloth before him and say, prickle Brit, out come gold pieces. And then, of course, he loses that. There is this landlord thought this was very strange and never supposed that a man who was accustomed to look after his ass himself would have much to spend. When the stranger, feeling in his pocket, took out 2 gold pieces and told him to get him something good for supper, the landlord stared and ran and fetched the best that could be get. And then it anyway, like, he gets his money. Dear me, said the landlord, that is an easy way of getting ducats. A purse of money like that is no bad thing. After that, the guest paid his reckoning and went to bed, but the landlord slipped down to the stable in the middle of the night, led the gold ass away, and tied up another ass in his place. The next morning early, the apprentice set forth with his ass, never doubting that it was not the right one. By noon he came to his father's house, who was rejoiced to see him again, because he had put the son away. Now he's coming back home with his magical ass, he thinks, and received him gladly. And then again, it's like disappointment that it was not like that, but Now pay attention, said he, and cried, prick-a-prick, but no gold pieces came, and that showed that the animal was not more scientific than any other ass. I'm trying to make this short, but like, it's really complicated story. I mean, not so complicated, but like, I just was. So we want to remember these creative powers in a practical way. The skill to wish, the skill to give, and the skill to refuse. So, okay, the ass was giving the gold. Table, you needed just to wish to have something on it. And then we have the stick. So third brother had bound himself apprentice to a turner, and a turning is a very ingenious handicraft. It took him a long time to learn it. His brother told him in a letter how badly things had gone with them, and how on the last night of their travels, the landlord deprived them of their treasures. When the young turner had learned his trade and was ready to travel, his master, to reward him for his good conduct, gave him a sack and told him that there was a stick inside it. I can hang up the sack, and it may be very useful to me, said the young man. But what is the good of the stick? I will tell you, answered the master. If anyone does you any harm and you say, stick out of the sack, the stick will jump out upon them and will bellabore them so soundly that they shall not be able to move or to leave the place for a week, and it will not stop until you say, stick into the sack. The apprentice thanked him and took up the sack and started on his travels. And when anyone attacked him, he would say, stick out of the sack, and directly out jumped the stick and dealt a shower of blows on the coat of jerkin and the back beneath, which quickly ended the affair. And so he also turned up to this inn where his two brothers had been taken in. He laid his knapsack on the table and began to describe all the wonderful things he had seen in the world. Yes, said he, you may talk of your self-spreading table, gold supplying us, and so forth, very good things. I do not deny but they are nothing in comparison with the treasure that I have acquired and carry with me in that sack. Then the landlord opened his ears. It's always the same, indeed, it's the same landlord who is always like the cheating. What in the world can it be, thought he. Very likely the sack is full of precious stones, and I have a perfect right to it, for all good things come in threes. Here we have all good things come in threes. When bedtime came, the guest stretched himself on a bench and put his sack under his head for a pillow, and the landlord, when he thought the young man was sound asleep, came and stooping down pulled gently at the sack so as to remove it cautiously and put another in its place. The turner had only been waiting for this to happen, and just as the landlord was giving a last courageous pull, he cried, "Stick out of the sack!" Out flew the stick directly and laid to heartily on the landlord's hack, and in a vain he begged for mercy. The louder he cried, the harder the stick beat time on his back, until he fell exhausted to the ground. Then the turner said, "If you do not give me the table and the ass directly, this game shall begin all over again." "Oh dear no," cried the landlord, quite collapsed. "I will gladly give it all back again, if you will only make this terrible goblin go back into the sack." Then said the young man, "I will be generous instead of just, but be aware." Then he cried, "Stick into the sack," and left him in peace. The next morning the turner set out with the table and the ass on his way home to his father. The tailor was very glad indeed to see him again and asked him what he had learned abroad. "My dear father," answered he, "I am become a turner, a very ingenious handicraft," said the father. "And what have you brought with you from your travels?" "A very valuable thing, dear father," answered the son, "a stick in a sack." "What?" cried the father, "a stick? The thing is not worth so much trouble when you can cut one from any tree." "But it's not a common stick, dear father," said the young man. "When I say stick out of the back, out jumps the stick upon anyone who means harm on me, and makes him dance again, and does not leave off till he is beaten to the earth and asks pardon. Just look here, with this stick I have recovered the table and the ass which the thieving landlord had taken from my two brothers. Now let both be sent for, and bid all the neighbors too, and they shall eat and drink to their heart's content, and I will fill their pockets with gold." The old tailor could not quite believe in such thing, but he called his sons and all the neighbors together. Then the turner brought in the ass, opened a cloth before him, and said to his brother, "Now, my dear brother, speak to him." And the miller said, "Prickleprit," and immediately the cloth was covered with gold pieces, until they had all got more than they could carry away. There is this brackets. I tell you this because it's a pity you were not there. Then the turner set down the table and said, "Now, my dear brother, speak to it." And the joiner said, "Table, be covered." And directly it was covered and set forth plentifully with the richest dishes. Then they held a feast such as had never taken place in the tailor's house before, and the whole company remained through the night, merry and content. The tailor after that locked up in a cupboard his needle and thread, his yard measure and goose, and lived ever after with his 3 sons in great joy and splendor. But then the whole story started with goat. But what became of the goat, the unlucky cause of the tailor's sons being driven out? I tell you, she felt so ashamed of her bald head that she ran into the fox's hole and hid herself. When the fox came home, he caught sight of 2 great eyes staring at him out of the darkness and was very frightened and ran away. A bear met him, and seeing that he looked very disturbed, asked him, "What is the matter, brother fox, that you should look like that?" Oh dear, answered the fox, a grisly beast is sitting in my hole, and he stared at me with fiery eyes. We will soon drive him out, said the bear, and went to the hole and looked in. But when he caught sight of the fiery eyes, he likewise felt great terror seize him, and not wishing to have anything to do with the grisly beast he made of. He was soon met by a bee, who remarked that he had not a very courageous air, and said to him, Bear, you have a very depressed countenance. What has become of your high spirit? You may well ask, answered the bear. In the foxhole there is a grisly beast with fiery eyes, and we cannot drive him out. The bee answered, I know you despise me, bear. I am a poor, feeble little creature, but I think I can help you. So she flew into the fox's hole, and settling on the goat's smooth-shaven head, stung her so severely that she jumped up, crying "Baba!" and ran out like mad into the world. And to this hour, no one knows where she ran to. Okay, so the goat was kind of lying and got eventually the bee got justice. Like it's a very weird story. Anyway, there was three things. Very fittingly, it's sometimes nice to have this simplicity. This reading is getting very long, but maybe you learn something about this creativity. The table, the owls, and the stick. We are having here now oracle card. And healing cards. I think I'm gonna show the healing cards immediately about your love life, because it's a love reading after all. We were talking about the table, owls, and the stick, and these three brothers. It's still a love reading. And then I'm gonna make you still a spread, so but let's see this. So part of the relationship, there is desire. Sparks fly, fire and passion, making you mine, wanting to make love. Venus and Mars, hot, hot, intense sexual attraction, fantasy, law of attraction. That's happening somehow in this story. And then it's also intense connection, love at first sight, soulmate, soul journey under a spell, divine love, true love, destiny, deep looks. I mean, there was this donkey in the in the cave frightening some animals, but okay, I don't know what other eyes were in the story. Let's see this oracle card. It's grief. Okay, grief is something that lives in the heart, so maybe some heart healing has to happen. Now I'm gonna take the shadow love spread. We know already, okay, third card came out. Wounded, emotional pain, depression, defense, triggering, healing, abandoned, fear, emotionally unavailable. Okay, maybe this wanted to come to verify a little bit already this. There has been a wounding. We're talking about shadow love reading. So these are not always easy, but I believe it's very healing to talk about the shadows. So this is like a gift to you. So shadow love for pile number 2. Okay, you got 2 positive things. And this is the outcome. So the moon, things are hidden. There's some secrets. And that has been the shadow in your love. Almost like this werewolf changing, transforming to something else in the full moon. Werewolf story. Anyway, the moon has been the shadow love. There is not everything is like almost like a Beauty and the Beast even, because there's this castle and this beast. moon is hidden, so things should come to a light. Interestingly, this is in the shadow position, so things comes to light. So the shadow love is that you are able to see the lies. Yes, but that has wounded you. Secrets have come to a light. There has been this very big desire and very intense. Everything has been very intense, but then there has come this reason to grieve. Possible even some pet has died. And then we have positive side of the shadow in the relationship. Queen of Pumpkin and Knight of Imps. So positive aspect is it looks like, yeah, the desire is here. Knight of Imps is the sexiest knight in the tarot. It's the most passionate knight. And Queen of Pumpkin is kind of the good queen. So there has been exactly this Queen of Pentacle has been sitting on the throne, giving intense eye contact, and then has attracted some young, a bit hasty, immature, but a very lover type, very sexy warrior there. So there has been like very much passion going on. But the shadow is that there is some secrets that has come to a light. Outcome when you have this current shadow is temperance. Okay, so you have ended up balancing the situation. You need to balance. Usually this is like an Archangel Michael, Sagittarius card, but you have especially need to balance your heart, like do heart alchemy. This witch is busy doing it still. So that's the outcome. You have become this kind of big cook, cooking the better potion. There is this grief. So let's read about that. Where did I put the book? I had same cards already in my horoscope readings. Nobody had the sacral. Did they have a sacral chakra? I don't know. Anyway, I guess. Grief. So, yeah, I think maybe Cancer had it. So, Penelope and Pickle. Grief is love without a place to go. Penelope meets Pickle, the puppy, when she is at college. They go through everything together. When the day comes, much later, for Mother Earth to call Pickle home, he dies in Penelope's arms. Her friends are hard on her, suggesting that she should just get over her pet's death. Penelope knows she loved Pickle deeply and is simple in grief. Loving Pickle was worth every moment of sadness. When she is ready, she will love again. And the Penelope and Pickle reminds us that what we reveal, we can heal. Give yourself time, you will love again. If you honor your pain, it will change your life. Yeah, this is a little advice on this heartbreak. Wounding. And yes, we have still the love message. So that is here. Relationship patterns. It takes strength to recognize the needs for change. So that is also advice for a relationship. There was a relationship pattern in this table as in the stick. The youngest brother figured out there was this pattern in the older brother's misfortune and he corrected it. So it's not like life is not like finished. It can always be different choices can be made. If you made mistake, or failure that fairy tale told, there is still like, you can be wiser about it. And there can be a way to out of some wounding and misfortune. Okay. So this was your reading pile number 2. I will pause to start the next one. Welcome to your reading pile number 3. This is your card you have chosen. And then you have also throat chakra. So you should not be a silent child, but express yourself in any way you can. So we put it here. Your fairy tale is, where did I put fairy tale? I'm like moving everything here. Okay, I paused to find the fairy tale book. Okay, I'm clearly getting tired, but here is your green fairy tale. And we have here How Mrs. Fox Married Again, the first version. I remember this is a short story, luckily, because this other has been very long. If you had pile number 2 or pile number 1, they were very, very long. So this one might be so short that we can read it all. Only this short. So I can show the image here. Okay. Okay, so this King of Cups. We will find out what is meaning for you in your love relationship. How Mrs. Fox Married Again, the first version. There was once an old fox with 9 tails, who wished to put his wife's affection to proof, pretended to be dead and stretched himself under the bench quite stiff, and never moved a joint, on which Mrs. Fox retired to her room and locked herself in, while her maid, the cat, stayed by the kitchen fire and attended to the cooking. When it became known that the old fox was dead, some suitors prepared to come forward, and presently the maid heard someone knocking at the house door. She went and opened it, and there was a young fox who said, "What is she doing, Mrs. Cat? Is she sleeping or waking, or what is she at?" And the cat answered, "I'm not asleep, I'm quite wide awake. Perhaps you would know what I'm going to make. I'm melting some butter and warming some beer. Will it please you sit down and partake of my cheer?" "Thank you, miss," said the fox. "What is Mrs. Fox doing?" The maid answered. "She's sitting upstairs in her grief, and her eyes with her weeping are sore. From her sorrow she gets no relief. Now poor old Mr. Fox is no more." So the wife is still very sad. The old fox is trying to see if it's really loving him or not. "But just tell her, miss, that the young fox has come to woo her." "Very well, young master," answered the cat. Up went the cat, pit-a-pat, she knocks at the door, rat-a-rat-a-rat. "That, Mrs. Fox, are you there?" Yes, pussy dear. "There's a suitor below, shall I tell him to go?" "But what is he like?" asked Mrs. Fox. "Has he 9 beautiful tails like dear Mr. Fox?" "Oh no," answered the cat, "he has only 1. "Then I won't have him," said Mrs. Fox. So the cat went downstairs and sent the suitor away. Soon there was another knock at the door. It was another fox come to woo. He had 2 tails, but he met with no better success than the first. Then there arrived more foxes, one after another, each with 1 more tail than the last, but they were all dismissed, until there came one with 9 tails like old Mr. Fox. When the widow heard that, she cried full of joy to the cat, "Now open door and window wide, and turn old Mr. Fox outside." But before they could do so, up jumped old Mr. Fox from under the bench and Kuchelet the whole pack, driving them with Mrs. Fox out of the house. So yeah, it's a weird story. What would be the teaching of this? That if you don't trust your wife and then you are like suspecting, then eventually she will prove to be not trustworthy. Anyway, she was choosing the same kind of man as the Mr. Fox. So it's like kind of weird. Like she anyway was proving that she likes that kind of man. But then, of course, she thought he was dead. This was a short story. I'm glad that we can get forward. Today we are looking for shadow love, but you got this witchy deck with these keys, and this is your advice. You can see in the end, which is jumpy. Oh my God, translucence, love the darkness. A little bit about this dead husband. There is this crow. It's kind of Persephone story in my mind. I'm not sure if the text was also like that, but I really love this crow, black crow. Actually, they do look a little bit similar. This girl. I really connected this to Persephone, even the flowers. She has spring flowers like that. We could look into the Persephone story. She marries the devil, and then her mother Demeter wants her back, and she can get half year back, but then she has to go back to the winter to the devil. I need a feeling cards. What is happening in your relationship? How your person, possible the Mr. Fox or the Mrs. Fox, is thinking about you. So this is the feeling card. Triggered, mad, bitter, anger, jealousy, arguments, cold shoulder, projecting, unwelcome truth, criticizing, silent treatment, disappointed, passive aggressive, shadow attack. Yeah, I think the Mr. Fox had also some kind of projection going on, thinking that the wife would cheat. Who was then pretending to be dead? The Mr. Fox. So I mean, he was also kind of not very, with the 9 tails, not very honest. So there is that. Triggered, mad, bitter, anger, jealousy. Dark energies indeed. But advice is to love the darkness. Let's see what's happening here. King of Cups is also this kind of emotional king, mature king, able to hold space for different kind of feelings. Also the dark, because dark and anger is usually sadness that has not accepted yet. Criticizing also is kind of projecting energy like that, not wanting to see the problem in yourself. It's easier to criticize other people than look to your own mirror. Like the Mr. Fox indeed is criticizing the wife. It is kind of like that. Okay, then we look the shadow love for you. So, what is the shadow? Pile number 3. Okay, this is the positive. And shadow is 8 of Bats. No, it's not so nice. This is the 8 of Swords. This is like a vicious circle. Indeed, it's something not honest is going on, like bitter, triggering, yeah, silent treatment, or just criticizing. It's horrible to be in a relationship if there is this criticizing, and it's kind of like a passive aggressivity. Like you feel like your hands are tied and you don't see clear and your intuition is lost because you are being projected, possibly even gaslighted of things that you don't see clear. You don't see clear. That's the shadow of love. You have lost this intuition because there has been too much these bad feelings that adds like clouded your judgment. It's like longer we are in the toxic relationship, we get kind of contaminated. We get helpless. Positive, you got two cards for the positive. So King of Pumpkins and Temperance. So out of this kind of vicious circle, there could be any kind of vicious things that has happened that you have noticed, like, yes, you have to open your eyes. You have to get out of it. You have to recognize what's going on here, the patterns and so on, and shadow attacks. And there's kind of these bats all like busy. Usually it's not nice. Then you have King of Pumpkins, very good king, and the Temperance, finding a balance and finding prosperity. So anyway, this has come out of that kind of thing, that there has been rising a need to heal this, to find balance. This is a major arcana card, Temperance. And the King of Pumpkin is really King of Pentacles, is kind of good king who is making stable life, stable income, all good choices for the community. This Taurus card also steady, one wins the race. It's like this good king has emerged. And the Temperance mentality to balance things. And then the outcome, King of Ghosts. Okay, so there's another king in the outcome. So this is the positive side of that shadow. So there has been really need for finding this way to balance things, but then this mature king is the outcome. Because has seen the suffering, has seen what you don't want in a relationship, then you are starting to see what you really want. And the ghost is whispering into the king's ear, like, yes, that's what I really want. Actually, let's see like a little feeling card what the king really wants. Can ask it. What is the ghost saying to the ear? What the king really wants? What he wants, there is this nice love the darkness also. I like these cards. This ghost is kind of dark too. But crow is always like a messenger, able to go to the upper and underworld. Here we have also, this is the same King of Cups. So even this card here, this King of Cups, you have twice. So you base even your reading and you have the outcome King of Cups. Interesting. I love to see this synchronicity, but anyway, you have to speak your truth. You don't have to be silent side. This is exactly the silent child, is the shadow relationship. You have not able to speak up. You've been silenced, like a silent child. And no more that. No more. But what is the ghost whispering to the king? What is that? What the ghost says? Please. Oracle of Love. Okay. So it's kind of like giving oracle advices to the king, the ghost. Saying here, Oracle of Love, wanting to know what is going to happen, wanting to feel secure, missing you, wanting to be close, scared of losing you. Yeah, the ghost is still saying like, oh, I'm so scared, I'm gonna lose this person. Do something. Anyway, the king of ghosts is looking some oracle ball and trying to find the true love. Try to see a little bit better future. Yes. Okay, we have still this translucence 33. And where is my little book again? This magic of you. I think that is exactly because it's whispering to the king. If there is magic in you. $33 is a nice number, double number also. Especially this card is one of my favorite. I think I'm going to show both of these while I read this for you. So, love the darkness. It's time to enter the underworld. You have been existing on the superficial place far too long, and a balance is required. Be like the goddess Persephone, who descended to the underworld. In the patriarchal myth, it is said she was stolen by Hades. But this is not true. Okay, there is something to this. Brackets, a goddess that powerful would never be stolen. In a matriarchal society, she would have been described as entering willingly and then deciding to have Hades as her partner. Yeah, I agree too. Women are not so stupid. They do have their own will. The Maiden of Translucence has her eyes closed, like the Fool of the traditional tarot deck. This is the card signifying the beginning of life's next magical adventure. She is letting go, and her winged bird steed is preparing to plunge into the cracked earth opening up before them. The forest branches beckon, come this way. When translucence appears, it is also time to redefine your own parameters, protect your sanctuary, and willingly take the journey into the unknown inner verse of you. Feathers are shedding, the hand is beckoning, take the journey. This card is saying it's time to fall in love with the darkness. Beautifully said. The little ghost is saying to the king, it's time to fall in love with the darkness. Okay, there's one more love card for you. Get to know each other. Learn to meet another's need for love. Beautiful kind of Neptune and the mermaid queen. Yeah. You have to get to know each other. There will be a lot of fears when you don't know. You assume, but you don't know. Like the fox is thinking the wife is treacherous. Anyway, the wife was anyway picking the same kind of fox who had 9 tails. That was very sad to lose that, but when he got one, it's okay. The one died, now I got another one. Was kind of not realizing that the Mr. Fox was like just there testing. Anyway, this is advice for you, and I think I read now my Shadow Love reading here. Weekly Friday love reading. I hope you liked it. If so, give me a thumb and likes and share and comment. Comments would be really nice because I don't know, am I such a bad reader? Why nobody comments? But it would really help my algorithm. So thanks for any comment, even emoji is a comment. So see you next week. And thanks for watching until here.